Welcome back again. So we just finished reading chapter 30 and we're going to get into chapter 31. So remember I'll be reading it in parts. So we're at chapter 31 now. So let's see what happened with all that drama between Mrs. Rose and Maisie. So chapter 31. The whole of the next day passed and he did not hear from her. In the night, he went to the room. So this is Haynes talking about Haynes now. So they're saying Haynes hasn't seen Maisie since she walked out the yard. Alright, so let's start again. So the whole of the next day passed and he did not hear from her. In the night, he went to the room where they usually met. She did not come. Who were her friends? He did not know one of them. He did not know one of them and had no idea where to begin to look for her. 2 days passed. 2 days passed. At number 2, he came in. He came in and went out and had nothing to say to anybody, nor had anybody anything to say to him. The cook brought his meals and he kept his door closed. At last, on the 4th day, at about 5 in the afternoon, a woman's voice on the telephone told him that Maisie wanted to see him that night and would meet him at 10 o'clock in the park. He knew Weir. She was punctual as always when meeting him, and his heart beat when he saw her. Never before had he felt so much like taking her in his arms and holding her tight to him. They held hands. "Well, Maisie," he said, "so you have gone." "Yes, Mr. Haynes, I couldn't put up with her any more, and I had to give her something to remember me by." "Mr. Haynes, you enjoyed it?" And then the two of them stood up in the park and laughed as if they were never going to stop. When they recovered, they walked along together, and Maisie told Haynes what he had guessed in the interim, but rather vaguely. During Haynes' absence, Ben had been coming regularly up to number 2 and used to talk to Mrs. Rose. She was in the kitchen, he in the alley. At first, Mrs. Rose didn't want to have anything to do with him, or, as Maisie said, pretended that she didn't. But later they had made it up. Maisie had always been shameless and an eavesdropper, and they used to meet and make love. But the reconciliation had not lasted long. Ben had promised to make a definite break with the nurse, but had not done so. He asked Mrs. Rose for some money to pay some debt or other before he came back. How exactly it went, Maisie did not know. At any rate, he had had his time with her and gone off again. I am not lying, Mr. Haynes. I am telling you the God's truth. She was waiting for him that day when Parks came. When Parks came, she was going to take him, but as soon as Ben came, she'd tell Parks no. And not only I know, other people in the alley know. A thing like that can't hide for long. But one day I was alone in the kitchen and I heard her say how people slandering her and saying she living with Ben again. But she was warning everybody that the day she hear anybody with her own ears, she's going to take the law in her hands. Was me she meant, because nobody else was in the kitchen. But I didn't bother with her. Anyway, Mr. Haynes, that is over. Yes, Maisie, but there is something else. What about us? When shall I see you again? She did not answer at once. Then, I'll ring you up tomorrow, she said. Where are you sleeping? Don't ask me that, Mr. Haynes. As you wish, Maisie. She turned and faced him. That is over, Mr. Haynes. Over? What do you mean? You and me, Mr. Haynes. Is you that made me stay at number 2. If it wasn't for you, I would have gone long ago. I didn't want to leave you, but now it's happened, I am going to America. Oh my goodness, amazing, leaving the island. I have been to my uncle. That's why you didn't hear from me. I told him that he had never given me a damn cent in his life and I wanted some money now. She laughed. He gave it to you? He had to. I said I was going to stay there until I got it and he borrowed it and gave it to me. How much money? $30. For people, $30 back in those days was a lot of money. That can't pay your passage to America. No, Mr. Haynes, but the stewardess on the airline has an assistant and sometimes two. And if you pay her $20, you get the job. She has been after me a long time. Why after you? She likes to get young colored girls who are nice. The white officers like them. So you mean Maisie? Mr. Haynes, I want a job and I'm going to get it. The captain and the whole crew can't get anything from me unless I want to give them. The boat is in and if I get the job, I am going. You have papers to sign that you are coming back? But when that boat hit New York and I put my foot on shore, if it wait for me before it leave, it's going to wait a damn long time. So everything is fixed, Maisie. Everything, Mr. Haynes, everything is fixed. There was a harshness and determination behind the casual air with which she spoke that stunned him into acceptance. When are you going? I don't know, but soon. Something in his voice seemed to move her. For the second and last time, she held him on her own accord. You sorry I'm going, Mr. Haynes? Haynes was choking and could only nod. The cathedral clock boomed out 11, and Maisie rose slowly. I have to go, Mr. Haynes, she said. They stood up and made no move. At last, she held out her hand and he took it. Oh my goodness, this is so sad. This is like a not bittersweet moment, just sad. Just sad. This is a sad moment. They stood up and made no move. At last, she held out her hand and he took it. Goodbye, Mr. Haynes, she said faintly. No, let me read this again. Goodbye, Mr. Haynes, she said faintly. He kept her hand in his, but said nothing. You'll remember me sometimes, Mr. Haynes, will you? Write to me, Maisie. I shall be waiting anxiously to hear from you. I'll write, Mr. Haynes. Goodbye. And with a last pressure of her hand, she pulled it away and went. Oh my goodness, people, this is so sad. This is really sad. Yeah, this is sad. Is that the feeling of telling a friend bye? I heard someone once said that, I don't know if the saying is true. All good things must come to an end. Sometimes you're in a moment, you're enjoying yourself and things are going well, or you have a good friend that you know, and then all of a sudden they have to part ways. I say, yeah, such is life. So this is the end of chapter 31. So chapter 31 was quite short. Yep. Alright, folks, so I'm going to pause it there for today, and I will definitely be back tomorrow, definitely, because I want to finish up. We're nearly done. Just have a few pages left. So I'll be back on tomorrow. So thank you folks for joining me. Please remember to like, subscribe, share. Please leave your comment on whatever I've read or just to say hi. Yeah, please do that. Waiting to hear from you. So thank you for joining me. Thank you for spending the time to tune into my page. Remember, it's Karen Vibes, KRENVIBES. So please like, subscribe, share, tell your friends about it. And look out for me. I'll be back on tomorrow. I'll be uploading the chapter 32 tomorrow. So it's the ending of chapter 31. So tomorrow we'll do chapter 32. Yeah. Sadding, guys. Yeah. Very sad. Well, I guess that's say such is life. So it go. Alright, so have a great week ahead. You have a great week. Enjoy the rest of the evening. Have a productive week. Yeah, and I'll see you guys tomorrow, Monday. Bye.